Our presentation is on sacrifice zones. I'm Bridget.
I'm Mary.
I'm Regan.
I'm Franz. And also Victoria.
In these next couple of slides, we have targeted sacrifice zones and how they are majorly impacted by climate and environmental justice. A sacrifice zone is described as an environmental area where residents of a minority of a lower income live. In these lower income communities are heavily affected by large polluting industries. Many areas in the United States, Canada, and Mexico are facing environmental degradation due to living in sacrifice zones that have high levels of pollution, which can cause major health risks. Many grassroots and non-profit organizations like Black Millennials for Flint, Center for Indigenous and Environmental Resources, and Friends of the Earth International are working hard to bring light to the environmental injustice happening in their communities.
Some of the proposed solutions implemented by the groups we have chosen are listening to and enabling communities, using awareness and political activism to facilitate change in policy and law, facilitating change through community cooperation, using the justice and legal systems to fight back against unjust exploitation of land and resources, and enacting change through lobbying and lawsuits.
Our first movement was Black Millennials for Flint. The organization prioritized raising funds and cultivating resources to improve the quality of life of communities impacted by lead exposure and other pollution. They also advocate for the execution and enforcement of health and environmental safety laws and policies to address the factors contributing to the disproportionate levels of exposure that communities of color and minority communities are more often exposed to. They also educate and equip the general public with information and monitoring equipment for air quality in at-risk communities and communities currently at known risk. They also build coalitions with like-minded organizations in order to broaden their reach to be able to service and help those they otherwise would not be able to. Millennials for Flint has also helped establish the Childhood Lead Prevention Amendment Act of 2017, where they helped up protections for children who are particularly susceptible to lead exposure and get them more protected. They also advised bill sponsor Councilman Robert White and testified during the community public hearing for the DC Public Facilities Environmental Safety Amendment Act of 2020 in order to similarly help protect the community from undue exposure to toxic substance like lead.
So our second movement was Friends of the Earth International. They filed a lawsuit in federal court in the District of Columbia on behalf of Friends of the Earth, Healthy Gulf Sierra Club, and the Center for Biological Diversity that was meant to take action against an unlawful environmental project to continue fossil fuel extraction. Another really big win for Friends of the Earth was on May 26th, 2021, the District Court of The Hague held Shell liable for causing dangerous climate change. And as a result of the legal action brought by Friends of the Earth, together with 17,000 co-plaintiffs and 6 other organizations, the court ruled that Shell must reduce its CO2 emissions by 45% within 10 years. This historic verdict has enormous consequences for Shell and other big polluters globally. This holds them accountable, which is really good because it's showing that people aren't going to sit back and let them do this anymore, that they're going to take a stand and fight against it. And 3 of their biggest areas of work are education. They educate local communities on ways that they can fight against climate change. They analyze and communicate. So they analyze what other people are doing, and then they communicate with the people that they've educated and other groups. And then they defend land and territory, which is pretty self-explanatory.
So our third movement was the Center for Indigenous Environmental Resources. CIER has worked on over 450 projects with over 300 Indigenous nations across Canada. One of the projects that they worked on was the Collaborative Leadership Initiative. This initiative included collaboration between CIER, their partners, chiefs, mayors, and reeves in southern Manitoba. In this initiative, leaders came together in order to find a collaborative and strategic approach to the shared issue of protecting land, water, and air. This initiative allows for leaders to come together and learn from one another in a way that will benefit us all. Another project that they worked on was in 2018. They supported a meeting where elected leaders from 35 to 40 First Nations and 23 Winnipeg and South Lake Winnipeg municipalities agreed upon some key priorities and came to a resolution to work collectively to build a collaborative governance table. These projects are important because they connect Indigenous governments and leaders and connect them to local governments and leaders, which in the end is beneficial for the world as a whole.
And these are our references.